Well, according to my clock, we're 1 minute early, but I see that everybody I think who needs to be here is here. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I want to welcome everybody to today's LTAC meeting. As per the governor's proclamation, this meeting will be live streamed using Zoom only. Ask that everyone give everyone an opportunity to speak. We'll go down the roll call and give each person an opportunity to comment when that time comes. So be patient and we will get through everything. First thing we're going to do, first item on the agenda is roll call. And just to make sure that everybody who is on the committee is here, and I think I will take care of that as I'm looking at the list here. I see, I'll call your name and go ahead and respond with here. And that way we can get you on the record as being present. So I am here as Deputy Mayor. Amy Rubio, are you here?
Yes.
And Lindsay Kerfman.
Yes.
And Tom Denley. Not present. Okay. And Peggy Beeler. You are muted, Peggy.
Here.
All right. And I board as our newest member of the LTAC committee. She comes representing the individuals and the companies that collect the tax. And so she is replacing her husband, Martin Beeler. And so welcome aboard. Glad to have you and look forward to your input.
Thank you very much. Actually, I started out doing it and then he replaced me and now I'm replacing him again.
Okay, well, there we go. We're keeping it in the family at any rate, right?
That's right.
All right. Well, let's get to our active agenda then. Our first item is tourism update. And I see we've got Yakima Valley Tourism with us today. Are you able to give us an update of what's been going on for the last couple months?
Yes, thank you very much. My name is Stephanie Gangle and I am with Yakima Valley Tourism. And just to give you an update, we have been working on photography and videography for the Lighted Implement Parade. We've been working with Lindsay to get footage taken care of for KIMA and different things. Just a lot going on. And here soon, we're going to start working on the media alerts for early spring with the PR firm in Seattle. We're also working with Janet to get your guys' travel guide printed in this year so that it can be paid for within this year. I'm not sure if I was able to let you guys know that the certified folder distribution agreement that was going to take place this year will be honored for next year. I believe it is your desire to also pay for it out of this year's funds. So we'll make sure we'll take care of that. But distribution will start next year. So that's where we're at for now. Does anybody have any questions for me?
Hello? Can you?
Hello?
I think you froze.
Did I freeze or was that you guys?
No, I think it's me. Hello?
Oh, okay.
Sorry, I had this problem last night and I only have it on my city laptop and I don't understand why. At any rate, are we going to start seeing Facebook advertising about the?
Yes, you should
parade?
have. Jennifer started the Facebook advertising last week and she let me know that she included Sunnyside zip codes or the zip code for you guys to be part of the target audience. So that did start. So you should be seeing that
Okay.
here soon. It takes a little bit for it to build, but yep, that started last week. And then with the funding that you guys approved for next year, part of that was to do an advertising 2-page spread in our 2022 travel guide out of that 19,000 that you guys awarded us. So we'll get with Janet about the text and information that she'll want included in there, plus any of the dates that we can include for next year's events, whether they're set in stone or if we need to do just generic, timeframes for next year, that's fine too.
Okay. committee members, any questions? And I'm just going to go down the list. Peggy, we're going to let you first have the questions today. Questions or comments?
No, but I am looking forward to seeing how the media push and seeing what a difference it makes. I'm really looking forward to working with the Yakima Valley with that. So, but I don't have any specific questions. I don't think I know enough yet.
All right, thank you. Amy?
Are we able to see an example of what you are putting on social media, and at the end to see how much it reached? As
Yes,
far as how many days you guys ran it, and where it reached at?
yes, as part of my monthly updates that I'm going to send to the group at large, that will include that. So it will say where it was and who the target audiences were, and then examples of what those looked like, whether it's print, social media, or otherwise that we do on your behalf.
Okay, sounds good. That's the only question I had.
Thank you.
Thank you, Amy. Lindsay, any questions?
No, not really a question. I think I'm gonna turn. Sorry, I didn't realize my video wasn't on that whole time. But I am curious if there's a way that beforehand, if the Rotary could know of what you guys are going to be putting out on the paid ads for social media, so
Okay.
that we're not pulling up on them, because I know that we're doing some too. And so I
Okay.
just want to make sure that, maybe we're going at it, a different way, or seeing how things work and things like that.
Okay,
So yeah,
you got it.
that'd be
That
great.
sounds like a good idea. That's that shows a little bit of experience in what we've seen, right? All
Yeah,
right.
but I will say that they've been great. I've been messaging them a lot because we have been getting requests from KIMA, and it is hard because we don't have any video or anything. And so I've been messaging Stephanie and Daniel and asking all sorts of questions and getting everything from them. So yeah, they've been great to work with.
Well, good. I'm glad to hear that. We sometimes form these partnerships in good faith, and we don't always hear a lot of results. And so to hear that the organization's been good to work with, that's nice. So I appreciate that, Stephanie.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions for Stephanie at this point?
I do have a question. Stephanie,
Go
did
ahead.
you see my email yesterday about the video?
Yes, I
Okay.
did.
Do you know who did that video on YouTube, or
I
maybe
do
Janet?
not. Yeah, it looked like it was, yeah, it was done quite a bit ago, I could tell, but yeah.
Mhm. Okay, well, since Janet maybe was on here too, I didn't know if someone could figure that out. Because
So give me some background information here. What video?
there's a video on YouTube of the parade with music and everything, and it was taken in 2019. Some of it was, because I was in one of them. One of the video, and I recognized from 2019. So I was just I thought it was Yakima Valley Tourism who had done it, and they had not. But it was posted by the city of Sunnyside on YouTube.
really?
That's what it looked like.
Yeah, so Jacqueline might know who it was too.
Yeah.
I think it was somebody, I remember because they did one for Cinco. So I think it was just somebody that just had equipment and just did one. Lindsay?
Okay.
If it was posted though by the city of Sunnyside, Janet, do you know anything about that?
I honestly have no idea. I could maybe reach out to Jackie and see if she knows anything. Because it would have been like a city, I'm sure it was whoever city clerk at that time would have maybe uploaded it. What I'm thinking.
It was uploaded. It said it was posted in 2020.
Oh,
And it was posted, I think,
Okay.
spring in 2020.
And mine said December 2019
Oh,
when I clicked on it. But I think that Deb was gone by then. I still think that.
yeah,
Yeah,
I think
that
it would have
Jackie
been
was
Jackie. And she might be able to give us more
Okay,
information. but-
Yeah, I can reach out to her and see if she can give me some info on it.
Would appreciate that. Thank you. Okay, any more for Yakima Valley Tourism?
No.
No. Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Stephanie, for participating. Appreciate your being here. So
Yes, thank you. You guys have a great day.
very helpful. You too. And we'll let you know when our next meeting is, and so that you can participate in that as well.
Okay. Very
Right.
good.
Our next item, item B, says policies. We had talked about updating and looking at policies. And I do not have a copy. I don't know, Janet, do you have something that you could put up that we could take a look at? You do. All right, so we've got our mission, our goals, our funding philosophy. And I'm assuming the funding philosophy is the part that we were talking about looking at. Is that correct? I don't remember who asked to have this on the agenda.
I think it, but I know that I mentioned something, and I'm not sure if Amy did either. Yes, I just wanted to go over what the purpose of LTEC was, more than just having the annual deciding what events get, the funds.
Okay.
I think, and then it was also, I'm not sure if this is part of the funding philosophy, but it was also deciding, you have the event Sunshine Days, the Lighted Parade, and Cinco de Mayo going on, not having to turn in an RFP every year.
Okay.
And not that, yeah, I think it was just saying like, basing it off of the work that we've done previously for maybe a couple of years, and then just kind of every couple of years we have to turn in something. I'm not sure.
Okay.
If I remember right, Deb was working on one, and it said something like, we would turn one in, and it would be for, I think, like a 3-year, and then after that 3-year you'd have to renew it. But this was back when Deb was city clerk.
Right. And then there were some things that went on after that, especially with the demise of Sunnyside's chamber, that kind of made some of that a little bit more difficult. And I think now we're far enough away from that to where we might be able to start talking about this and changing things. But immediately after the chamber collapsed, sure that everybody turned in their RFPs every year and really had to keep an eye on things.
Yeah.
And we have been very careful. I think LTAC is to be commended over the last few years for the caution that they've exercised in awarding funds. The questions that you guys have asked, you've done an excellent job. And I think now our LTAC funding is above question. I think that we definitely can see the integrity of this committee. So well done, you guys. Those of you who have been involved in this for a while and know how this all works. That's been extremely helpful for the entire city and for all of our programs. So this has been really important because a lot of these things were previously, for example, the Sunshine Days was just automatically a chamber thing. And they were handed the money and they just took off with it and did what they needed to do. And so that's some of the stuff that's had to change now over the last few years. So go ahead.
And I wanted to put in there, because I know, like, for the regular RFPs, I wanted to see a plan, not just give somebody money, but like a plan and how, kind of like what Sunshine Day, Cinco de Mayo, and the Farm Implement Parade. If you look at that RFP, it's more like it gives you more detail of a plan. So if we're going to hand somebody money, I want to see, like, okay, do they have a plan, or is this something that they just thought, you know what, I'm going to host this event? Like, do they have experience? So we know that the money, we're just not just giving it to anybody. They actually have a plan in place. They have, they're letting us know for media, this month they have this, because it is the RFPs for the 3 signature events is very different from the regular RFP.
I've had a problem with that, because you guys, when you fill out the RFP for the big signature events, go through a lot of work to fill that out. And then we're seeing the RFPs for some of the other events that come through, and they're number one, not always filled out all that well, but it's also a much simpler form that they've got to work with. I do think that we need to get this to change where we have one form that everyone goes through, because if they do go through that one form, they're going to have their plan, they're going to have their budget, they're going to have all those details that we need in order to make an intelligent decision. So I agree with you, Amy.
Yeah, that's why I really like art. And I know when Deb did it and back when she formed that RFP, it was so that they knew, okay, these people have a plan. We're just not giving them money. And I really like that idea, and it would help us answer other questions when we're looking at everybody's RFP.
Right, and we know what page the question is going to be answered on.
Yes.
It's going to be the same for everybody. So I
Yeah,
think
if you look at the regular RFP, it says you can only use 2 pages. And for ours regular, it doesn't tell you. We're able to go more in detail and explain on there. And then on ours, it says we have to have references. So I know on the other one, if they just put their name and phone number, we actually have to turn in a letter of reference.
Right, and I think too that the longer form would have solved a lot of the problems that we had with the Miss Sunnyside pageants and float and that sort of stuff, because those questions would have been answered for us, and
Yes.
It just would have made things easier. So I think you're right. I see others nodding their head. Lindsay, do you have any comments on this?
No, no, I just think the same thing. I know it's hard. I had a difficult time filling it out for the first time, but I guess it's like any other grant. I feel like grants are difficult to fill out and they take a lot of time. So I feel like it should be just like that when they do stuff and having to do your research. And I know, again, it can take time and be difficult to do, but it's just what we should expect from here on out. And having, because you don't always have to have backup research to necessarily know all the answers. Some of it's just telling us what your goals are with having this event. And I haven't even always seen that in some of these RFPs, is what is their goal for Sunnyside with this event or with this project, or because in for the VFW in the middle of town, that memorial, I mean, because he always explained in there what his goal was and how many he wanted to do in a certain amount of years. And I think that that's just something to expect from everyone who's planning a project or an event to bring in tourism.
No, and I agree. And as committee members, when we're trying to present this to council, or when you're trying to present it to Rotary, or we're trying to present it to citizens who are asking questions, that gives us the answers we need. And so we're able to speak more knowledgeably about that. And I think that's important for us as committee members as well. Excuse me for that. Yeah, I lost my train of thought. Pardon me?
Can I say something real quick?
Yes, you of course may.
Thank you. I think with the RFP, if we go longer, that's great. But we also have to make sure that maybe they're submitting just the outcome of how those funds were done and handled annually, to make sure that they're staying on target and that it's staying an LTAC funding item, and it doesn't cross over to, say, a general fund funding item. I'd like to see, the target, what they want the money for. If we don't know what the money for and they just put down, sunshine days, that's not specific enough. What exactly are they targeting the item for? How does that help with using LTAC funds? How does that, and I know this is a horrible sentence and I'm sorry for using it, but how does that put heads in beds for these organizations? And then the outcome, how did that put heads in beds? How did that draw tourists from, greater than a 50-mile area and bring them into Sunnyside to spend those tourism dollars? So if we go long term, I still would like to see something on how it's done and how it keeps up on an annual basis.
Well, and thank you for that, Peggy. These are questions that we ask at the beginning of the process when we're looking at applications How many people are coming into town for it? How many people are staying overnight? Obviously, it's always a best guess. Afterwards, we can get a reasonably accurate report from them, and quite often we'll ask for a report. Council is interested in getting reports from different organizations. And so we do want to see that, and council is attentive to that as well. You know, one of the things that happens if we do things wrong is it comes out in an audit, and we get audited every single year, and we need to be on top of that. And it looks bad for the city if they have a lot of findings against us. Now, last year, they didn't have any findings against us. They had things that were cautions, but we didn't have any findings, and we're kind of proud of that. We'd like to keep it that way. So we're trying to stay on top of it. We can't catch everything, but we try to do the best that we can. And that's why we ask these questions. That's why we want this longer form. So, okay, so do we need to look at this line by line, or how do you guys want to do this today?
I know we had said to our, because there's nothing in our rules or in the policy saying that about deadline. Are we going to have it in there where we're only gonna accept RFPs between this time and this time, or is it open so anybody can apply?
So far, we give a deadline when we publish and advertise for the RFPs. And that's been the policy so far. I'm a little bit reluctant to codify some of these things because it doesn't allow us to make any adjustments. Now, you've got your calendar shifts with different years. So I think as long as when we advertise, we tell them it has to be done by this date, and then we stick to it. I think that's as far as we need to take it. Because if it's in the code, if it's in the packet, can't change easily, and it starts to get bulky.
Well, looking at this, the funding philosophy, I didn't know this with the city parks and historical museums. I've never heard that as part of LTAC. So that would be good to know.
So where's historical museum? So would that, because I know that we had questions for the memorial, does that fall under? Because it's kind of like, it's.
So our city museum is a historical museum. So technically they could apply for funding for programs. The building itself is owned by the city, so that falls under the city's purview to take care of the building. But the museum itself is a historical museum, and that is owned by the Museum Society. Now, nobody's really talked to them in a long time about applying for funding. How the Veterans Plaza falls under that, it's different than a historical museum. So I don't know exactly what it means for like a memorial like that and how that works with it. I'd have to do a little bit of digging on that one. So give me a little time, and Janet a little time to see what we can come up with on that. We can answer that question maybe a little bit better.
Yeah, just because I know that there's been like questions since about like, do they fall under it or not? And I know we do approve it, but I know there's been questions like if they should receive it, if it falls into it.
Right.
So I just want to make sure, if we do get audit, we're able to explain, well, we went under this section.
Right, and that's a good point, and that's important. Thus far, it has not been questioned at the audit, to my knowledge. Nobody's brought it to my attention. So far, we're okay, but you're right. I think that needs to be investigated a little bit further.
So as I'm reading this, though, that it's saying for city parks and historical museums, so we can do every year. So if they come to us, say, the next time we have something and say they need a certain amount of money and they need this money by this time, we're putting a percentage aside, just like for the event center, to build up that fund and then be able to award that in a future at a future time, or?
We can
Okay,
set up, same thing as the event center. We can say that this organization gets funded this amount. Usually that's directed by council.
Okay.
We've got kind of a split mind in council right now. There are council members, for example, that simply want to fund the Miss Sunnyside pageant and the float. They just want it to be an automatic thing. Other council members say, no, I think the Miss Sunnyside pageant needs to raise more of its own funds, or the city can fund it out of a different fund. And so we haven't really come to a consensus yet because we're split as.
Did he cut out?
you're frozen, Dean. Just
Can you?
there.
Oh, there you go.
There you go.
Did he freeze again?
Yeah.
I think so.
Am I
Yeah.
gone again?
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna switch to a different computer.
Okay.
All right, so
Okay.
bear with me for a second.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
no
try it
problem.
on a different computer. I'll be back. All right, can you hear me better?
Yes.
Awesome. I don't know what the problem is. Both of my computers are wireless, but this one just seems to cooperate better. All right. So if council is somewhat divided on an item, I think that it's going to be up to council to make the final decision and decide where they're going to be on it. We can make recommendations to council, but council is obviously the one that's going to make final decisions on everything. So that may take a little time. And obviously today is election day, and so we'll see how council changes after today. And we will find out how all that shapes up starting in January.
So, do you know what time we have? Because I have to turn in my.
You have until, what is it, 8 o'clock tonight?
Oh, okay.
If I remember right. I'd encourage you to get it in before then. You know, they got the one over there by the fire station.
Yes, I already filled it out, and I had to come in early this morning, so I missed grabbing it. So, but I will get it in by 8.
Well, just remember that my name is Dean Broersma, and you just color that one in as black as you can make. Sorry about that. Shameless plug.
Love it.
All right. So we do have some events that, and I think directed by council, we can put on there and say they will be funded every year. Council is able to do that just like the event center. So we can say that this must be done.
Hasn't council already, and I think this is back when Deb had it, say that the 3 signature events will?
So we've talked about it and we've never actually made a decision on it. We've never said yet that we want to do this. And then council's changed a little bit since then. We've had at least one election since Deb left. And so
I'm just trying to remember back, because that's when I got on LTAC, is right when Deb was leaving. But I kind of remember some stuff just because how I would attend for, my RFPs. So I could, I don't remember, but I know they wanted, it was never said how much. It just said that they wanted to fund. these three.
Right.
Amy,
And that,
I went back and listened to meetings. And so I listened to that one, and yeah, there was no amount, and that's kind of the difficulty, is everybody agreed that they wanted these events to happen, but setting everybody at a certain amount was going to be hard, since it's hard to know how many taxes are going to come in from the hotels every year. So that was kind of where it was left. And then I think the final thing was at least the people who have been doing it, giving them sort of not an amount, but saying that this organization will be allowed to do this event for the next 2 years without doing an RFP. That was what it was kind of left at.
right.
Well, plus what's their need, then the amount is going to change. Their needs are going to change. Perhaps they need a new float. The dollar amount for that year is going to be greater than in another year. Some expenses can't be approved, like personal dresses for the court. That's not an item that LTAC can cover. So knowing the need each year, the dollar amount is maybe perhaps one of the reasons why they didn't include that in that, a specific amount, because they didn't know what the organization's needs would be.
Well, that, and we're never sure just how much we're going to collect in taxes every year. That can vary. Last year and through this year, the tax collection has been a little low. So we've got to be cautious with that too. So council didn't take it any further than they had to at that point. And you can read into that what you want, I suppose, but we can encourage and make a recommendation to council. I think that we've got support on council, and nobody wants to make any changes as far as the 3 big signature events: Sunshine Days, the Lighted Farm Implement Parade, and Cinco de Mayo. Those are events that every one of us feels are incredibly valuable and helpful to the community. Where we get our struggle is the Miss Sunnyside pageant. That's where council at this point is divided. And are we going to support the float? Do we need to support the float? And we on this committee have talked about it a fair amount as well. We've got differing views on that. And so I think for this committee to know what to do, we need to get guidance from council. And that's something that, provided I'm still on council in January, I want to take up. So, but taking it up before January, we're focused on one thing right now, and that's getting our budget done. So it's not going to happen this month or next.
And then I know the other thing we were going to discuss is having LTAC having more say in the marketing, as far as with Yakima Valley Tourism and everything. And I know everything goes through Jackie or Janet, but I just have it in my notes that we'd all discussed that. And I believe Tom from Best Western said the same thing, that he would like a little more say in what goes out, because he knows what clients come to him. So that was the other thing that we were talking about discussing, or at least putting it on an agenda at a certain time for the next meeting.
Right, that's not on today's agenda, but that is something that can definitely put on for in January. I think that would be important. And that is kind of the reason for today's meeting as well, because we wanted to get some feedback from Yakima Valley Tourism, which we did, and be able to contribute ideas to that. I know Tom was a little concerned, thinking that we didn't put enough emphasis on advertising, and I think he may be right. Obviously, you're never going to save your way or cut costs your way to prosperity. If you're going to get people to come in, you need to attract them, and that is advertising. So he wasn't wrong. But his perspective, and this once again hits on why it is so important to have not only people who receive money from LTAC, but people who pay the tax, because they have different perspectives from the just out of necessity from their business. They're going to see things a little bit different. And so it is valuable to have everybody involved and participating. It helps us so much to get different ideas. And poor Stephanie, we tend to be a little skeptical sometimes. I know on council, they're a little skeptical too when they start looking at the numbers and they ask some questions. So it's really good to have someone like Tom jump in and say, yeah, no, she's not wrong. And tell us why. So I think from her perspective, she could use that help too. So we'll continue. And the idea was to meet a little more often. Right now, I'm thinking that we'll meet the next time in January, and we can stay on top of that and get another report from Stephanie and then look at policy a little bit more. What's going to happen in January is committee assignments are given out at the first meeting, in a first regular meeting in January. So I know Ms. Hart really enjoyed being the LTAC chair, and so she may lobby to get that position back from me. So I'm not sure where she's going to be on that. I know she very much enjoyed it though. So I can't even say for sure that I'm going to be the chair after January. So, but definitely we can set a tentative date to meet, and whoever is placed on the committee will be able to jump in and get started, if that's okay with everyone. And that's also why I'm a little reluctant to dig too deeply into our policy. Looking over it today and seeing some of these things, it's helpful. I do like to see the funding philosophy. That's the one that's helping me the most at this moment, just because it reminds me of what we're looking for when we look at these applications. So any other?
Is there a way we can get a copy of that, Janet, like to our email? Because then that way we have it and we can refer to it when we have our next, or when we're looking at RFPs.
Yeah, Amy, I can go ahead and forward it to you guys.
That would be helpful.
And then also, just if you guys like want it ASAP, it's also on our website. I did attach it. It's on with the agenda packet for today's meeting. If you guys don't want to wait for me to send it, if you guys want it like now, but I will forward it to you guys as well.
Okay.
So there's that. And it would be a good idea for each of us to have that as we're analyzing these applications. Because
And I know we had said also too about maybe revamping our website for the Come to the Sun.
yeah. Boy, I haven't looked at that. I was going to look at that and I totally forgot. I haven't looked at that for the longest time.
Yeah, I mean, it has like for the Miss Sunnyside, it's like a really old picture. I would like to see, the current court on there, or at least last year's court with their float, or maybe like a section that we do have, the Miss Sunnyside there. Maybe announce like the schooling, come check out the Grizzlies, make it more entertaining so people, when they look at it, they can see what we have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And,
you're right.
put it on there,
It's
put it
got
on
some-
there. It's not very, it's nice, but I think we need to revamp it. It's been like that for a while. The pictures, since Come to the Sun has been there, they're the same pictures.
Mm-hmm. I think you're right. And yeah, it's got food and a few of the activities. And our featured events say, things like postponed until 2022, September 11th, 2021, Sunshine Days. It's got the Light of Farmland Parade on it. It's current.
And I know Sunshine Days was current when I was doing it. Normally I just send the info and they get it on there, or I send it to Jackie. But I would like to see more on there. Maybe a section where what kind of restaurants on there. I don't know if, I would like to see a section about, for Miss Sunnyside, because I know Sela has on theirs, they have a section, like come check out our float. These are the girls, kind of show what activities that they do. And then put on there, the Grizzlies, we have a home football game, something on, so people go directly to that, or even put the link, for more information, you can go to the school website, more stuff on there. Maybe the sports we can add on there, like AAU, because I know a lot of people, they want to know
Yeah.
how are we able to put our kids in sports? What, add the Parks and Recs on there too, because I know I talked with the Parks and Recs. She had a lot of great ideas. Add the link on there so people can go look on that.
No, these are all good ideas. So, yeah, and I hadn't looked at that.
Yeah, and I looked at it because I use it, for my events, and I don't have a specific website. I do have Facebook and I do have like an Instagram, but anytime I want people they ask, what's your website? I tell them, go to cometothesun.com. And that I think helps, because then they can look at everybody else's events, just not, Cinco or Sunshine Days. Might be, oh, look, the Christmas parade, and they can look on there. Maybe have some activities like a gallery.
And who manages that website? Do you know?
It is the
Valley Tourism.
Yeah.
Is it Yakima Valley Tourism? Okay.
And I know we had said maybe to have one of us kind of help guide on what we wanted on there. I don't know, us kind of maybe taking it and revamping it, helping them, because I know Jackie does have a lot to do.
So that was my question. Is that something that's what I think I was talking about, LTAC doing more and having more to do with, and I think Tom was talking about too. And putting it on the agenda for this month, we will, you review the website to make sure everything's updated and current with everything, or redoing it if need be. I wasn't really sure what the rules were or anything like that, and so but that's what I was talking about doing. We were talking about doing more, scheduling out more meetings. That's what I think we had talked about. Different months we would do this part and not just meeting once a year to do the RFPs.
Right. Well, we know from experience now that meeting every year is not enough. Meeting every 6 months is not enough. And so for this committee to actually be able to do its job and to do it well, we do need to meet more often. At this point, I had it kind of set up for every other month to finish out the year. And then once things are set up for the next year, then we can continue moving forward. I think that's a great idea. As we look at policies, and then we look at our website, we look at different things, and each one, and keep an eye on things and see what it is that's a concern so that we can get it on the agenda. And talk about these things. And some of these things are not going to be pleasant to talk about. There's some things that we're really far behind on, or that we could do much better, or some things that we've just forgot about. And so, there's other things that I think that we do well. But I think as a committee, we can have a pretty good impact on this community if we're proactive, and we're in a position to be able to do that.
And I was also, in one of those, I think it would be a really good idea to have representatives from different committees, like the Art Commission, because sometimes I think that LTAC and the Art Commission can work hand in hand in things, because they're working on, different projects throughout the town. And so it would be good to know that too. Right.
And some of that stuff that they're doing is stuff that maybe LTAC would apply to. We may be able to help in that area, maybe not everything, but in some areas, in some small ways, we might be able to be helpful. So yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, I just want to really update the Come to the Sun, just because I know some of the restaurants, they're not updated. We have, a lot more new stuff. And if that's the website we're sending everybody, I want it to be more active, more, wow, look, these are the pictures from Christmas parade. We want to go next year. It's not one for the application and stuff like that.
Okay. So do we have any more comments on our policies?
I don't at this time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're okay on the policies. Let's put for our next meeting, we'll get another report from Yakima Valley Tourism, and then we will talk about our Come to the Sun webpage and see what can be done there. Keep in mind that there may be some cost involved. If Yakima Valley Tourism is going to do it, I don't remember off the top of my head what we said we were going to fund as far as the webpage goes, but we can talk about that as well, and get us up to speed on that. So let's plan on meeting in January. And obviously I left my phone in the other room, so I don't have my calendar right in front of me. So let's see what I can do here. All right. I don't have anything loaded on the city computer. There we go. Go to. Okay, I'm thinking January, our first Monday will be January 3rd. I'm not sure if we're going to have a workshop on that day at City Council. Our first regular meeting will be on the 10th. So after that, we will know our committee assignments, and we will be able to meet with this committee and get things moving. So what day after the 10th works for you?
Wednesdays work good for me. I don't know.
Okay. For me on Wednesdays, it will have to be sometime between 9 and 11:30. I have a standing meeting at 11:30 that isn't going to change anytime soon. So as long as you guys are okay with that, and I don't mind if people show up in pajamas as long as you're wearing something.
I think January 19th at 9 o'clock would be good.
Okay. How do you feel about that, Peggy?
I might be in those pajamas, but I'll be there.
Okay, so let's call that then January 19th at 9 a.m. Janet, you got that?
I did.
Okay, and on the agenda will be the Come to the Sun website, as well as an update from Yakima Valley Tourism.
I got it.
Okay, any other agenda items that we'd like to add for January?
No, I just think would like to know if Mr. Denley is going to still be on the committee, or if we need to find someone.
He
I
has
guess that's the next
indicated that he would like to stay on the committee. He
Oh.
did say he planned on being part of the meeting today, so I was a little surprised that he wasn't. I didn't send him a reminder, and I don't know if anybody else did either. But yeah, he did seem to indicate that he wanted to continue to participate. At least that's the feeling I got in our last meeting.
Okay, all right,
I'll try to touch base with him.
okay.
Feel it out where he wants to be. I think he's got a lot to offer.
Yes.
He pushes us a little bit.
Yeah.
He's got a lot to offer, and I think we need his contributions.
So,
He has
and
a
I-
lot of things that I wouldn't
Mhm.
take in consideration, and then it makes me think like, okay, this.
Mhm.
So he does have like a lot of good points.
Yeah. But, and then that's all I was gonna say, is it because I know he said a certain time that worked for him, which I think was in the afternoon.
Right.
And so I guess at our next meeting, if he is able to be there, we might need to find that out. So,
Right.
so we can try to get him there as much as possible.
Correct. And it may just be where he's so busy that he's got to have a reminder sent to him. And I know he does not like doing Zoom meetings on his phone. And I've tried it a few times too, and it is not fun. So I can understand that as well. So.
Okay.
All right. Anything else for the good of the cause today?
No.
Got nothing, Amy?
No.
Oh, you're good, Peggy?
Nothing.
All right, I too have nothing. I thank you all for your participation today. And hopefully I can still be part of this in January. If not, well, then I have confidence in you guys pushing forward. So we'll meet together then again on January 19 at 9 a.m.
Thank you.
All
Thank
right,
you.
guys, thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye.